lot of scraps from the Valentine's leftover, and I want to use pretty much all of them if I can. And this was largely inspired by a book that I'm reading. I've always loved to do some sort of like reusing everything and being very scrappy just as a person, but I really love the book I'm reading, and I'm blanking on the title right now. But I honestly think I might do a long form video about the book at some point. But until then, I decided that today I'm gonna take some of these scraps, all the scraps around here, and we're gonna do something with them. So the first thing I'm actually doing is I am taking a bunch of the cardboard pieces that I had from the cards themselves, and I'm cutting them up into teeny tiny pieces and putting them in this. And what that's going to do is I'm eventually going to make new paper out of this, and then I can make new cards or art or something. Really, once you have paper, you can make anything with it. And this also can work as kind of a sort of paper mache or even paper clay. But basically, I'm just using stuff that has not been painted on or glued on or anything. But I have a lot of little like tiny projects I've been working on for the past few days. And one is a jewelry box, like a little like earrings box. That is this right here. And I'm just covering this with the excess pieces that I already cut out for the collages I was doing earlier. So yeah, that's the top of it, and then here's the bottom. But yeah, I've just been trying to get this as neat as possible. I'm just cutting off the edges. These things do take a few days, but I'm basically going to be using all the little scrappy pieces, and I'm going to be finishing the box. So yeah, we're making paper, making a box. Hello! How are you? But yeah, the smaller I'm cutting these, probably the better, simply because I don't know if I want to use a blender for this yet. I know blenders are encouraged, but I don't have a paper making blender at this point, and I don't want to destroy my blender for the sake of paper. Hello! Hi! So this is a little piece that I made earlier. This was yesterday, and I think I'm gonna add this to a much larger piece. I'm not sure what yet though, but I just kind of look at these for colors. Am I Greek? Yes. Was it the name? I feel like it was the name. But like, you just look at these things for colors, and you can do this with anything. It doesn't have to be magazine scraps. Like, it could literally be a bag that you got from the grocery store or something. Along with that, I am also just making a piece of art with the rest of the bigger scraps. And I'm centering it around this random like collage piece that I found. So I'm probably gonna start layering that. I got this glue at the thrift store, and the top doesn't work, so I have to use it with like a brush. Let's see. So I kind of have to use it as like a brush on glue, which isn't bad at all. But I basically am just gluing it in the spots that I want, and then I put down the piece of paper that I want. And when I'm done with this, I'm probably going to be putting these in a free art library, because some of the libraries around here have like little places where you can leave art and take a piece of art, and I just love those. So I'm gonna add those in, as well as I'm making some bookmarks to add in there as well. They're honestly like tiny, tiny museums. There we go. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think anyone can do this, given, you know, I'm definitely trying to work more towards using every single scrap. Hi. There is a lot of people in here. Welcome. If you have a physics exam, you might as well want to get studying. I don't know how much my recycled crafts are going to help you with that physics exam. But I'm just laying down the background, and I'm using larger pieces for this. Like, this was from a gardening magazine. And I try to line up corners so that way I don't have to have like weird odd edges, but trying to find like 4 separate corners. Early in the morning. Yeah, that is very early. I hope that you do well on it, because that is a physics exam. That's a big deal. But I also thought that I could relate the yellow in this to the yellow in this. So yeah, I just line up the corners. And if you're doing like a weird shaped artwork or a circle shaped artwork, you don't need to worry about that at all. Like, that is irrelevant at that point. And I think the most important thing is weighing this stuff down, because it definitely, I'm just gonna use this random jar here. Gotta get all the air bubbles out and weigh it down. And I'm sure that there are, I'm sure that there are better ways to like get all of these collage things on, but I'm just making stuff. That's the thing. I don't really think that there should be any sort of like barriers to entry with any of this. I do think people should be using scraps all the time. Every scrap that they can. And now we've got another one. It actually needs more glue in this corner. But yeah, also another fun scrap that I found this wire, and this wire has like little pieces of copper in it. So I'm actually thinking somehow of getting the plastic piece off of the wire, and then I'm going to make something with the copper on the inside. I don't know what I'm going to make, but I almost never get to see exposed wire. So I'm excited about that, but I'm just going to pull this apart, honestly. Perfect. Maybe I can use these to like snip it. I wouldn't recommend getting these off of like somewhere that you can like get it from somewhere that doesn't have, you know. I just cut most of it. That's great. So now I have all these tiny little metal pieces. That's not helpful at all. But it's such a delicate wire in there. I know there's such a thing as like wire stripper, but where do I even get one? How do I even use one? I don't know. These are questions that keep me up at night. Maybe I can pull them out? No, because that's just ripping it. Yeah, if anyone knows how to do wires, let me know, because it's incredibly frustrating. Oh, I think I have an idea now. Okay, so I'm gonna hold on to the wires with this, and that did not do anything. Well, I got a little bit off, but that still is like so insignificant in the grand scheme of it all. Oh, this might actually work. This might actually work. And these wires are so tiny. Maybe if I swap maybe if I swap them. Yeah, this is really just like experimentation hour. I have these a few times a week. Okay, we're getting somewhere with it. So I'm getting all of the copper out from this, out of the tubing. And I don't know what I'll use the tubing for. I feel like I could still use it for something. But this is the wire in there. So these are like super thin wires. All right, let's keep going. I kind of want to get the entire wire out of here. And hopefully I can get those in, you know, mostly one piece. But I feel like some very elaborate like wire wrapping, especially with such like fine wire. This is insane. And I probably can just rip it at this point. Or just hold on to it and then... There we go. I can just hold on to it. Yeah, this is beautiful. This would make amazing jewelry. Such like delicate patterns. Even stone wrapping would be phenomenal. I just worry about how fragile it might be. I do worry about that, but it's beautiful. I saw somebody make a tree with this once, and there was a comment online that was like, oh, just go recycle it, you're wasting it. I'm like, he made a beautiful tree out of it. This, if you know, art is not a waste. Art is not a waste of materials, especially when the materials were already going to probably not be recycled properly anyway. Now we come to the point where this is getting tricky again. There we are. So yeah, we have about this much. I want to see, we're almost done with the first entire like wire. And the insides of tech always fascinate me because I am a very like non-tech person. So getting to see the insides, I feel like I see them in a completely polar opposite way that a tech person might. Because I kind of view them as materials to source from, and I know that tech people view them very differently. They probably do not want to rip out all the wires of their computer and make jewelry with it, but I mean, it's like seeing anything that you don't, you know, you can zoom out from it, from its intended purpose. And I think that's the point of creativity, is just seeing things from a different lens that, you know, seeing something in the absurdity of it all. Trying to see what something could be rather than what it is. And for me, I am seeing endless possibilities with this. But I am breaking a few of these, which is not really like great. So I have to be more careful. But yeah, I also think that e-waste and like techno everything, techno trash is such a problem. And I know that making jewelry about it is not like the main solution, but we cannot just keep sending stuff to the global south. Like, we have to come up with better solutions than that. And honestly, I think some sort of like closed loop recycling and degrowth would be a really good option. But other than that, I think that this can also help offset some of it. I don't know, I'm just thinking about tech a lot, because especially with the whole data center thing. And I know that Greenville is losing the fight. We're still in the fight over here. I know that many places in the US are getting data centers as we speak, and almost all of them don't want it. So I wonder that when, you know, when they're all done with the data center stuff, what's going to happen to all that techno trash? Because it's going to be a lot of techno trash. Like, and that's just not even thinking about the, you know, the current environmental realities of having AI data centers in the first place. It's like, what happens after? Where do you even go from there? Because they have lifespans. Like, it's something that you just set once. Like, there will be a exponentially large amount of techno trash. And crafts can't be the answer. It can be part of the solution, but definitely we have to take a holistic approach on this one. So yeah, even if everybody was doing exactly what I was doing, it still wouldn't be enough. Because, you know, the world does not need unlimited earrings. We need real solutions to problems. And I am saying this as somebody who is a crafter, as someone who is an artist. Why is it crunchy at the end? Maybe I can just cut this piece off. However, despite my points about all that, I do think that any sort of techno trash can be beautiful stock for the arts. Like, this just came out of one wire, and this is, you know, you can buy this at the craft store. Hello! You can buy this literally at the craft store. So now I have all of this beautiful copper wire, and I have a second one. And I have all of these pieces too. All these little scrappy pieces. So I'm going to put those somewhere else, and we're going to figure out what to do with them. Be careful. Oh, these don't have any electricity in them. They are completely removed from anything. All right, let's get the second one done. Okay, so I got enough of it. I'm going to try to do this one a little bit neater. Well, that was a lot. That's awesome, actually. This one might actually have a chance. Nope, I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. But yeah, I've even thought about weaving a basket with these. Thank you. Yeah, I try to be. I try to find solutions for everything and uses for everything. And the wires should not... The wires shouldn't be a problem, but the casing, I don't know what to use it for yet. If you guys have any recommendations, I would love to know what to use the casing for. Because I have no idea. Greetings from Germany. Hello. That's so many people from Germany lately have been on my channel. I think that's so cool that there are people outside the US that are watching this. I've noticed a lot of people from India, a lot of people from Germany. It's very cool. You know, this kind of reminds me of hair. South Africa. That's awesome. So there's a lot of different people like globally watching. That is so cool. I feel like it's gotta be late there or early. The same thing with Germany. And I think I've gotten almost all of it. There we go. Okay, so I've gotten all of this. And I actually have like other projects to show, but those are like so far away. Isn't it summer on ZA? I don't know what ZA is. Oh, that's cool. You guys use military time. So this is from 2 little wires that were literally going to be thrown away. This is how much copper wire we have. Oh, okay. But yeah, so I'm deciding whether or not I want to make jewelry or a basket, and I might try both. I don't know. Thinking about it. But I will leave that there, and I will come back to it in a few minutes. I don't know how I would connect it, but I also have this belt loop. So I was like, what if I don't think I have enough wire for that, but wove an entire copper belt. But I think this actually might be dry by now, which means I can continue doing it. Okay. So we have part of our first layer in here. And we just need to keep looking for more pieces. So it's kind of like a puzzle. Like you want to get all of the edges of it done first. So I'm going to use this piece right here. A theory person. What do you mean by that? I'm very intrigued with that. You're more of a theory person. Like, does that mean like ideas versus execution, or oh, that needs more glue up there? I love hearing how people think. What is that, bro? I have no idea. I don't know what you're referring to, but so that's what we got. And it looks kind of weird now, but I feel like the more I add to it, the better it's going to look. And we also have this, which I do need to cut back into some corner pieces. So I need to be like very precise. And oh, this is actually part of the same picture. That's really cool, an apprenticeship in mechatronics. Like what type? That is really cool. Yeah, I feel like working, renovating and repairing my grandparents' guest house. That is awesome. So you've got to be good at, you know, doing hands-on stuff if you're literally renovating a house. That is one place where I have used power tools and I have done stuff, but I still feel a little bit shaky in that regard. And by a little, I mean like a lot shaky. I would definitely like to work larger scale like that at some point. Hello! I see some people have like a little symbol next to what they're writing. I don't know what that means. Okay, so we have like half of this, which means I'm actually going to use little pieces and start working on this again. Honestly, don't accept the fact of anything because you will get good at it one day. I did crochet for years and nobody actually taught me how to do it properly. So I finally learned how to like 2-3 years ago now. And up until that point, I would literally sit at least a few times a week and try, and it would look terrible. And then it clicked. Do I have a Discord server? I actually don't yet. I don't have one yet. I may get one in the future. It depends on the whole policy with Discord and like the ID verification thing. As well as I haven't really had a large enough like platform to justify it yet. But I think as my platform grows, I will definitely find a way to have some sort of like community thing. Maybe, I don't know. I'll think about how to do that. But yeah, that's really cool. I think that like home repair and stuff is awesome. The most I've ever done, like when we first moved here, they decided they were going to take the dog doors out of the doors. So we literally had like holes in our walls and doors. So the most that I've done is like take boards and drill them into the wall. That's really cool. Do you have any advice for tiling? Because I am planning on doing a tiling project soon. I am making the tiles, which I already know I'm going to hate myself for, but I've committed. And I know nothing about tiling other than like 3 YouTube videos worth of knowledge. So yeah, I am just adding pieces and eventually it looks like that. Yeah, eventually it just builds up over time. And I found a lot of layers ends up looking a lot better. And do I actually have an example of this? I literally saw it in the background in my videos. Okay, so about like 5 or 6 years ago, I actually made this pencil cup. It is an old can that had tomatoes in it, but I just put a bunch of collage all over it. I definitely love collage quite a bit, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, just keep adding things and eventually it looks good. If you cut tiles dry, make sure the cutter is completely dust-free and there's no mortar spots on the tile. Each little thing disturbs the balance and will make it crack unevenly. That is actually really good advice. I'm very nervous to do any sort of tiling at all. So thank you for that. And I'm still a long way out from it. I also think in the bathroom, I'm going to be doing a complete mosaic made out of like broken dishware and stuff. But then I also thought about having to clean that and it feels not ideal. But I also know like sometimes those huge tiles are just not as fun. And I'm adding just little pieces of this one. This is gonna be so pretty when it's done. So instead of buying tiles, I actually got a bunch of clay, and it was a bunch of scrap clay that the person had already used, but it wasn't fired yet. So I have about like 300 pounds of clay in my house right now, sitting in bags that I have to reconstitute. And I've bought glaze, so I'm gonna make the tiles, which again, bad idea, but we're gonna go for it anyway. I got like this like iridescent pink color because I am like dead set on having a pink and green, like green teal kitchen. And I want to basically do as much of it DIY as I can. And I did hear from people that make tiles that, yeah, you need to make like 3 times the amount. So I'm hoping that I don't have to make as many as I think I will, but honestly, just wanted to stop by and thank you real quick for joining us in Canada against the data centers. I was a feller in the black Stetson hat. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Honestly, I think without any of us, it would not have gone the same way. And I am grateful to all of you guys that came out. Not only that, I am going to continue trying to cover as many things related to that as possible because I don't think this is over. I want it to be over, but seeing that, you know, they're going to put profit over the people over and over again, I know that we have a long fight ahead of us. So I am standing right next to you, and I'm very glad to have met you. And I'm happy that, you know, I'm happy I could be of service, and I am happy to be of service in the future. This is anecdotal and probably won't apply, but at the guest house, they put the tiles directly onto the concrete. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I usually hear people usually like mortar or put glue first. That's very interesting. Okay, so I like this thicker piece. I feel like I'm going to save that for something else. But as you can see, I bounce around between thing to thing to thing when I craft, and that's just like the way that I do things. So I'm going to take this piece and put it right here. I really, when I craft, I like to have like 6 or 7 different crafts. It's like tabs. Like I like to have them all open at the same time. There we are. And you just smooth it down. You two have a wonderful night. I knew the moment it came out of my mouth someone was gonna say that. I knew it. I can't escape it. Honestly, I'm just glad that I am not a teacher in like grade school because that would be terrible right now. So I have these little like berries, and I'm just gonna cut them out. Oh no, it's fine. I'm more joking than anything, but like it's unescapable. Honestly, it's probably like the same way that people felt when, you know, people were saying swag and YOLO and yeet like constantly. I think every generation has their nonsense that they say, and that's okay. But yeah, we got this little like berry thing going on. So I think I'll put that right here. And that's the fun part. Like the more you put into these, the less identifiable they are as their original. And I think there's something so beautiful about the transformation, especially with like recycled materials. Because it really is it's like a... Yes, it is. I feel like transformation is just, I don't know. I like when materials like transcend their original use. And they kind of feel rebirthed in a way. Okay, so while that's gluing, we're going to go back to this one. And I will get to these eventually. What is Dadaism? So basically, Dadaism happened, you guys can correct me on this, around the time of World War II, maybe slightly before, but it kind of rejected a lot of realistic and just like utilitarian, but not really, art movements. And it just played on the absurd. Yes, that is a pretty good definition. But I think the art piece that most people think of is somebody that just took a urinal and flipped it over, and then that was an art piece. And I actually know that pre-World War II, Hitler hated Dadaism and made fun of it. But in doing so, he made this whole art exhibit calling it a sham, right? But in doing so, so many people thought it was a genuine exhibit of Dadaism that it ended up just becoming Dadaism, which honestly is rich irony. Having the thing that you don't like become something that, you know, people congratulate you for is really cool. Honestly, I think so. I think a lot of those absurdist memes. I remember that was a really big thing back in 2017, was like a lot of like surreal and absurdist. And that was probably my favorite genre of meme. Let's see, what are we gonna put on this? I'm gonna put this little piece here. Yes, and also the removal of context as well. And while I don't think that this is necessarily Dadaism, I do like, you know, removing the original meaning at least and giving it a new meaning. Like, when you're done, you probably won't even see the cabbage in this, you know? The cabbage will not exist anymore. All right. Let's see what we got. I think I'm done with this right now. I'll come back to it. But this has so many like warp lines and stuff. So I just have to kind of smooth it out. But honestly, the texture could be cool, but eventually I want to figure out how to get this without texture, and I think it's the type of glue I'm using. What am I making? So I am just making an art piece. I'm probably going to drop this off at my free art library. It's a little bit of a drive for me, but they have this place at the library where people can just put art into and then take art. So I like bringing art sometimes to there. And I'm just making it out of all the scraps of my previous project, which was making Valentines for people. So yeah, I'm making an art piece. I am like kind of paper upholstering a jewelry box. And I'm also going to be making some bookmarks to bring to that little art library as well. Some people can read with them at the real library. So yeah, let's keep adding things. I don't want any of it to be identifiable. Thank you. I'm kind of hoping that other people kind of just see it and then maybe they want to start one at their library. Honestly, talking to librarians is super chill and they probably will listen to any single type of like suggestion you might have. Because it really only takes a little shelf in a library and then you can get your own art library started. I honestly might do that for the one closer to my house. I might ask them if they're willing to start that. So we've got about 2/3 of it covered. And we are gonna still go in with this guy in the center. I just really like this little bulldog character. I have no idea what it's from. I don't remember. But it's gonna be from this art piece in about like 10 minutes. So it won't even matter what the original context was. But yeah, magazines are a great place to get collage materials. But not only that, you can get them from like those grocery store flyers, even though it's like less fun. But they can still be used in that way. Even like litter you find on the street could be used as collage material. Like eventually I think I need different glue for this, but this is like a cracker package that's been washed, so you really can use anything. Mixed media is very fun. Ooh, I found my final corner. But yeah, it's literally just paintbrush and a school glue. And I'm hoping that next time when I go to the bins or any sort of thrift store, I will find some more glue, maybe with a top that actually opens, so I don't have to constantly only use a paintbrush. Where'd it go? Oh, okay, found it. The idea of making a big collage is literally the reason I'm such a hoarder. Have you ever thought maybe to make smaller collages that you could collage into a bigger collage? That way, like, you're working on it? Because that could be cool. Like, that way, even if you don't actually accomplish the big collage, you still have smaller ones. And on top of that, I feel like so many materials are pushed out into the world every day. It is almost impossible to not try to do something with them. Like, it's either that or you, like, basically become more part of the larger throwaway culture that we have. So it's a really hard balance, you know? Oh, I'm glad that you like the idea. I hope that you do it, because that would be really cool. I think, I think taking things in steps is a really good idea. Like, I know I can't use all of my little scraps today, but I'm kind of separating them amongst like 5 different projects. And I'm hoping, my goal is to use as many of them as possible. Like, I still have magazines that could be cut in the future, but I like, before I start a new project with magazines to be cut, I like using all of the scraps up. And basically that's how I clean my table. I just use it. And then once it's clean again, then I can do it again. And this is actually like a scrap from a paint palette that I had. Sometimes I use magazine pages as a paint palette. So this has like pearlescent paint on it. And we're gonna like put that in there somewhere. And I will probably Mod Podge all over these once they're all set in, just to kind of give it some sturdiness. But this is where we're at right now. So it's like 2/3 there. And let's see. But yeah, I really do try to use everything, even like the ugly pieces. Ooh, another, what's it called? How many of these do I have that I'm gonna make later? Let's see. Yeah, and all of the other like tiny pieces are gonna go into my paper making pile. If I remember, I will, because I have 50 different ideas for art pieces and some stuff. Yep. I feel like that's with every artist. Here's a fun story. Back in grade 7, my friend won a trip to an environment-themed camp with other students from Europe. One of the projects was collecting material from the woods and making a picture. And our group was us, a bunch of snooty teens, and we started way too late. Oh my gosh, I would have loved that camp. That sounds like such a fun project. So the last minute run, we just collected whatever, a bunch of litter. Honestly, that is still counts, and you helped clean up the woods, so I see that as like bonus points. Let's add this like sand piece. Honestly valid. I feel like that counts as art. Did you win? I don't know if it was a contest, but let's see. Let's get some of this darker pieces. Sometimes I don't like cutting it. I just like leaving the edges. That's honestly really quick thinking. That sounds like every art student in art school when they are forced to come up with an artist statement. I love the BS artist statement that turns into a real artist statement, because that is so profound, but I just know that you guys thought of it at like the very final second. I have done that many a time. But honestly, I think probably you guys are still thinking it was just like subconscious and that just like leapt out. But yeah, no, there is less and less time to do something about all of it. And I was actually in the book that I was reading. So I have been enamored with this book right now. And in the book, they talk about, this book was in 1996, right? Oh, that sucks. Honestly, I think you guys both probably deserve to win because the deer sounds really amazing. But yeah, like this book was in 1996 and they were talking about, you know, it was a child talking to an adult about how, you know, unfortunately the child's going to have to be responsible to inherit all of the trash that, you know, the older people were producing. And I was like, wow, it's the same. It's the same right now. The only camp I went to was like a form of being babysat for a few hours. But yeah, I went to a few different camps. I went to an art camp that I later volunteered at, but while I was there, it was really fun. They let me use like a blowtorch. We got to work with glass. It was honestly probably very fundamental in helping me like expand my skills in art. Oh, so these little pieces right here, I just rip them up and they go in the paper pile. And I try to have it mostly be normal paper, like normal cardboard in here, but if there's little tiny scraps of magazines, I do put them in there. Let's see, I do want this blue piece. But yeah, there's just a lot you can do, and I think I'm going to leave this for a separate art piece. Yeah. But basically, you just keep layering. There we go. Beautiful. But yeah, I have so many things for like my series of fixing like broken stuff and trash. I just haven't gotten around to it for like the past few days, and I think I will probably get around to it again at some point soon. Yeah, because I already did the pants, and I actually have a lot of things I want to repair and to show people like how to repair stuff. But yeah, so I'm gonna let this dry, and I think I'm actually gonna come back to this tomorrow, but I'm gonna let all these things dry, and I might be on live tomorrow, I might not. I'm not sure, but thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you very soon. All right, bye.